Um, I don't know the rubbish list that FIFPRO brought out for their best 11 because I don't understand. Welcome back, guys, to the channel, and I'm angry. Yeah, that's the word. I'm pissed because I get that the Ballon d'Or list that came out didn't have. In fact, there are just some players that I expected to be in the top 3, top 5. And it's a huge insult. Looking at the list that FIFPRO has brought out to say, oh, this is the best 11 across Europe. Like, really? I don't even understand the people that are voting for these things, because it's like they don't watch football. I don't think they do. I think they just vote probably maybe because this player has more flair or has more PR or has more social media presence. That's the word. Because how is Rafinha not on this list? Please explain to me how Harry Kane disappeared from this list. Again, explain to me how Cole Palmer made it to this list. What is Jude Bellingham looking for in this list? Ah, Jesus. Like, I don't understand. I don't think I can ever understand it. You know what? Let's just go through the list, because if I want to start mentioning some of the players that are not on that list or that should be on that list, we will spend the whole night here. Let's just go through the list. Obviously, the goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma deserved. He is supposed to be on the list, because looking at what he did with Paris Saint-Germain, helping them win the Champions League for the first time, helping them also win 3 titles in the season, yes, he deserves to be on that list. I don't think there's any other goalkeeper that should have made that list if not him. Maybe yes, you can make a shout for Arsenal's Raya, but unfortunately Arsenal didn't win any title, but it got them to, get into the semi-final of the Champions League, or I think it was quarter-final of the Champions League, and yeah, doing all right in the Premier League, but more of an individual performance and not having much of an effect on the team. But Donnarumma made some good saves. If you look at the match against Aston Villa, against Arsenal, against Barcelona, like, yes, he was at one point, even Liverpool, I think the first game he played against Liverpool, he was their man of the match, because the saves were exceptional. So definitely he should, yeah, I agree 100% that Donnarumma should be on that list. Now to the defense. Yes, a lot of people are against the fact that, oh, they are using a 3-man backline, but I don't think a lot of teams actually use 3-man backline defensive work right now. A lot more teams, you see more teams do 4, even some 5, as bad as it is, especially if they want to quote unquote pack the box. But most times you see more teams or better quality teams use 4 defensive line. But let's just even go with what FIFPRO has given us. 3-man backline, right? Okay, no problem. Then we now have Virgil van Dijk. Please explain to me again why Van Dijk is in that list. Aside from the fact that they won the Premier League, what again? Yes, maybe in the first part, in the group, the league phase of the Champions League, they had good records, and I think it was probably because some of the teams they played were easy to play, and yes, they were able to get results. But looking at them against big teams, they fumbled against Paris Saint-Germain. Van Dijk was obviously nowhere to be found in that game. Looking at how they lost out to Newcastle, even in the EFL, like, you can even see the consequences of how bad they're playing already this season. I don't understand what Van Dijk is doing there. Where is Marquinhos? Where is Pasho? I don't understand. That's one player that I think should not have even made it to even the top 20 players that they would have voted in the first place. That's one. Achraf Hakimi, of course, definitely, he should be on the list because there were a lot of games that he was the deciding factor. Like, he made sure that they won some of their games, coming from the defensive work and getting those crosses in, or even his powerful shots in some of their games. Yeah, he does deserve to be on that list because honestly, I don't know if there's any other player that you want to compare to him. Yes, maybe Chelsea's Cucurella. I think he also gave a very, very good performance for Chelsea last season. And maybe, yes, he didn't win their player of the season, but he was one of the players that ensured that they finished in the Champions League position and also ensured that they played very well in the final, and even against Paris Saint-Germain, he locked Hakimi up in that Club World Cup final. So maybe he does deserve a shout, but I don't think there's anything he could have done that would have beat the fact that Achraf Hakimi gave PSG everything last season. And then to the last person who I also feel deserves it is Nuno Mendes. Nuno Mendes was obviously one of their best. In fact, when you look at PSG's starting 11, these two players, Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, were one of their best defensive lineup ever. They did the work. Yes, two of them didn't do so well in the Club World Cup, but you are not even going to disregard the work they've put in all through the season, probably just because of that FIFA Club World Cup against Chelsea. But really, I feel like if you're going to make a shout for other players, definitely, what's his name? Mendes and Achraf Hakimi need to be on that list. And then to the midfield, where it gets more annoying, you have Cole Palmer. I'm sorry, what exactly is Cole Palmer doing there? I'm confused. This guy he disappeared for about 3 to 4 months, no goals, no assists, and then yes, it turns up at in the final of the Club World Cup. It turns up in the finals. Yeah, scoring 2 goals against PSG, that's not enough. It turns up in the final of the Conference League, it's still not enough. But I get that there are times where players have their off-season, but it was for a long period. A really, really long period. And probably because of that, I don't think he deserves to be in that team. If I'm going to even pick anyone from Chelsea, maybe Caicedo. Caicedo, who was their player of the season, young player of the season, he deserves a shout to be in that squad. What Cole Palmer is doing there, I don't understand. I don't get it. Declan Rice is another player that I think deserves to be in that list. He gave Arsenal, I think, one of the best performances last season. But of course, it will count against him that they didn't win any title. But he gave a very good individual performance all through the season. This is one player that doesn't get injured. The same as Caicedo. You don't have to be worried that either of these two players will go injured and be out for a long period. So why Cole Palmer is on that list, I don't get it. To make things worse, Jude Bellingham. From where to where? As how? I don't. Oh, Jesus. In fact, rather than put Jude Bellingham, I would rather that they put, what's his name, from Bayern Munich, Olise, because I know Olise sometimes play on the wing side and maybe in a 3-man forward, but I would rather he's there because he gave a better performance for Bayern Munich, who also won the title in Bundesliga, a shout. I don't understand what Jude Bellingham is. See, yes, it doesn't deserve to be on that list, and it's disappointing he's there. And then Pedri definitely deserves to be on that list because it was one of the best players for Barcelona, I must say, last season, helping them win the La Liga title, getting them to the semi-finals of the Champions League, winning even, I think, 2 other clubs. They had a treble season last season. Definitely, I feel like it gave them a lot of standout performances in a lot of their games last season. So it does have a shout out to be in that list. And then another person is Vitinha. Is there a question? Nah, it does deserve to be on the list. Vitinha for me is also one player that I feel like it helped, especially when it comes to a lot of teams playing that low block. He comes in from the midfield and then helps with either crosses or even supports the wing backs. Yes, he does deserve, and obviously helping them win that Champions League was like the icing on the cake. So it does deserve to be on the list. And then to the forwards, I'm confused how Kylian Mbappe made it to this list. And somehow Rafinha did not. Do you know how many goals contribution that Rafinha had for Barcelona? Before you even mention Lamine Yamal, Rafinha should be number 1. That guy was so good for Barcelona last season. And what? It doesn't even make the list. Honestly, they need to gather the people that vote. They need to gather them together and give a proper whooping, proper beating. Because what is this list? Rafinha doesn't make. You know what? Yeah. And then they have Dembele. Yeah, I think Dembele didn't actually pick up until January of, let me say, this year. And maybe he did at the right time, right? He did at the right time. He ensured that Paris Saint-Germain won a lot of the titles they did last season because of the effort he did put in. And so, yes, maybe it deserves, somehow, he deserves to be on the list. And obviously, he's the Ballon d'Or winner. So, won't it be funny that the Ballon d'Or winner doesn't make the list? Like, will it not scream hypocrisy? Like, really, it will. So, definitely, it makes sense that he is on the list. And then the final player, who is Lamine Yamal, who makes the list. As I said, Lamine doesn't have to be on that list. I will definitely switch him up for Hurricane of Bayern Munich. Do you know how many goals that guy scored in Bundesliga last season? I get maybe they didn't do so well in the Champions League, but really, you look at him, they won, I think, about 2 titles last season, and Hurricane was a big part of that happening. It was. So I don't understand this list that they've come up with, but really it begs a lot of question as to how they decided this final 11. But if you look at the list anyways, I think about 60 or 70% of them, yes, I do agree with. And then maybe the rest you can make a case of they shouldn't even make, the list at all. Hopefully, next season or next year, they don't make the same mistake. And those that are voting are actually watching the games. I want to believe so, because you just don't come up with a list and just think that, oh yes, people are just going to take it, you don't do that. And I feel like it's about time these people start to leave the voting open to the public, obviously, because when you leave it to just players or former players or journalists or just, I feel like sometimes these people are biased in their voting. I feel like they are. In fact, Lewandowski had a huge impact compared to even Lamine Yamal. See, please, I don't want to think about it. But anyway, that's my thought on the FIFPRO Men's Best 11. it's quite disappointing, but I guess it is what it is. The list is out already. Hopefully they can do better next year. Just hope so. Well, that's much from me, guys. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles at _official FSH, but also ensure to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Yeah, please, if you want the channel to grow, please do subscribe to the channel, and also share in the comment section what you think of that list. Anyways, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.